Introduction to Huanmeng Mountain and Sea. Shan, Shuxin and Xiang have been good friends since childhood. During a visit with an archaeologist, they traveled to a distant country where various miraculous creatures lived with humans. There, they embarked on adventures to search for their past lives and find ways to return home. Prelude. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Great Demon King, your rule and ambitions have come to an end, and what awaits you will be the judgment of the end. Chakra led 5 warriors with him to sneak into the main city of the demon clan overnight. Chakra had Joanna, who was skilled in disguise magic, dress up as a demon guard for the warriors and head straight to Buster's lair. He took off the helmet of the demon guard and looked at an 8-foot tall humanoid monster with wings on its back, arms and legs like bare bottoms. Wearing a demon armor, he looked at several captains, each with some skills, but in Buster's eyes, it was just cannon fodder that had been deceived by those human kings. So he sneered. Even ordinary people dare to confront me, it's a joke. Let's defeat my 6 protectors first. As the words fell, 5 monsters with different appearances surrounded me. All 5 protectors belonged to the Bast dynasty, and they were followers of the Bast dynasty's rule. They often guarded the chaotic demon gods and were also influenced by Bast's ambition, all of whom wanted to rule all the kingdoms and towns in the west, and to fight against Bast and his demon weapon minions. The kings and ministers of the main alliance countries on the west side began to discuss with each other what to do. After several days and nights of discussion, they finally decided to hire hundreds or even thousands of demon hunting groups to fight against the evil chaos god in the kingdom towns on the west side. They also carried out decapitation operations against the chaos god. In this operation, hundreds of demon hunting groups failed one by one and buried their bones in other territories, leaving only 5 prominent demon hunting teams. Chakula knew that scattered demon hunting groups could not fight against the Chaos God and Chaos God's minions, so he proposed a 5-person team consisting of 5 team leaders to infiltrate the Bast temple. The team members of these people went to attract the magic soldiers stationed in the temple, and some team members set up ambushes on the necessary path for the support of the magic soldiers, delaying as much as possible, and supporting the magic soldiers. Then they hid through layers of the Great Demon King's claws and arrived at Buster's lair, defeating the Great Demon King together, which was bound to nip his ambitious ambitions in the bud. Captain Chakula looked at these protectors and smiled. What's wrong with the Great Demon King? Are there 6 of them? Oh, if you're disrespectful, the 5 protectors are enough. Baster laughed, and these 5 warriors were deadlocked with the 5 protectors for a long time, and finally several protectors were defeated one after another. The 5 warriors began to attack Bast together. When they jumped over and fought against the Great Demon King, the demon's wings summoned a magical hurricane that directly knocked all 5 warriors away. Seeing that these people could defeat his 5 protectors, he greatly appreciated such talents and said, "You must be brave and strategic to come here in my temple. If you could surrender to me, after I rule the whole world, you would be kings of this western country. If not, then you will only be reduced to ashes." Before the big demon could finish speaking, the 5 warriors quickly stood up and attacked him again. "Stop talking nonsense, the brave don't dance with the bad wolves," Chakura said, and the first one waved his sword at Bast. Others responded in unison, "We won't yield to you, big devil." Chakura attacked and swung his sword while looking at the warriors fighting beside him. He chuckled at Bast and said, "The great demon still wants to rule the world. You can't even conquer our kingdom. I have given you a chance. If you don't need it, you can only fight to the death," Baster said, swinging his big hand directly to throw the warrior who came first on the left. The person was then thrown out and flew towards the other warrior who came later, colliding with each other. The other hand turned into a claw and swept across, unleashing an air blade that flew towards the other 3 warriors. Without defense, the 3 of them were knocked back and knocked down one by one, falling heavily onto the wall, sliding back to the ground and suffering serious injuries. Only Chakura was very agile and avoided, but the other hand of the Great Demon King had arrived. Fortunately, Chacula was on guard and inserted his sword into the ground of the temple, blocking the incoming air blade. Unexpectedly, the power of the great demon was so powerful. Chacula thought to herself, although she blocked the attack of the great demon king, she also used a lot of strength. Others also crawled up from the ground and oozed a trace of blood from the corners of their mouths. With pain and force, she finally said, "This demon is so strong. If we can't defeat him, we'll consume him. When there's a loophole, we'll have to do our best to seal him. Even if we're exhausted, we'll have to seal this chaotic demon god." Chikura said after hearing this, and then continued to rush towards the great demon king. The battle lasted for a long time, and the 5 warriors did everything they could, but ultimately did not defeat them. At this moment, a person holding a flame sword with wings on his body in the air gave the 5 warriors powerful strength, causing them to wake up again in pain and fight against them. He also sent them sealing magic, and then disappeared into the air. The 5 warriors obtained this divine power, and finally knocked down the great demon king. They sealed him in the giant stone statue of the great demon's lair. During this period, 2 light balls flew out of Buster's body, but the 5 warriors were powerless. Unable to spare any effort to stop it, the sealing formation was abandoned halfway, and we could only watch them fly towards 2 places in the sky, burrow into the clouds, and disappear. As he was about to seal it, Buster laughed and said, "Everything has just begun, chaos is spreading. The one holding the sword of fire, I will surely find you." After completing the sealing of the great demon Bast, the 6 warriors were unable to leave. They rushed into numerous demon guards from all directions, forming a circle around them. At this time, they had just fought against Bast and then sealed him in a stone statue. Chikura and the others were already exhausted looking at the besieged main hall. Chacula said, "It seems that we can only fight with our backs, but even if we die in battle, we will have to take away a few dozen demon soldiers." "No, you won't die," Joanna from the 5-member demon hunting team interrupted Chikura's words and continued, "You are our captain. It was you who helped us find a way to deal with the demon, allowing us to sneak into the old nest overnight. When the big demon couldn't receive reinforcements, he defeated him, leaving the demon without the command to lead the battle. You are a brave and scheming captain, and we are also happy to fight alongside you. Because we met several captains, helped each other, and supported each other, and during the war, the 5 of us have formed a continuous friendship, so we are willing to listen to Joanna's advice." Joanna continued, "Although the demon king has been sealed, there are many demon soldiers, and your heavy responsibility is not over yet. Our world is still waiting for you to save." "Okay, but let's fight a bloody battle together and send our captain out of the encirclement. We must protect the captain." Joanna interrupted Chacula once again. Looking at the 5 warriors, they nodded to each other and broke through together, protecting Chikura in the middle. Chikura originally wanted to fight with them and be destroyed together, but every time a demon army tried to give Chikura a fatal blow, they were replaced by 5 warriors. The blade wind of the 5 warriors was like a sharp arrow out of the bowstring, straight like the huge body cast by the demon troop in front, shot in and out. Chacula watched his comrades fall one by one, and then buried them in the demon troop. Tears could not help but overflow into his eyes. "Thank you, my brothers and sisters." He held back his tears and swore in his heart, "I will definitely drive the demon invaders out of our country. Rest assured, fellow soldiers and warriors, that I will live up to your kindness and expectations." A few demon guards who lived on the road left around the Chaos Temple. More than a month later, Chacula returned to the imperial city. When the king found out, he personally came to the outside of the city to welcome Chacula's return, and was directly appointed as the Grand Marshal of the Western United Army, commanding hundreds of thousands of kingdom guards. He also felt sorry for those brave warriors who sacrificed their lives due to the sealing of the great demon head. The army of the demon god also lost its sharpness during the reign of Buster. The demon army occupying the city had already become chaotic. Chacula took advantage of the situation and launched a large scale attack, using flash warfare to gather many troops around the occupied cities. Later, they joined forces and made it impossible for each city to support each other. The generals of the demon god had a bad feeling, some began to flee in panic, some had already led their own demon soldiers back to the chaotic realm, while still holding on to the demon soldiers. Without their leaders, even if they were brave, they could not defeat a team of hundreds of thousands of people, and were defeated one by one. All were taken back, and thus the people of this western country lived a peaceful life. The king saw that Chikura had made such great contributions, so he wanted to reward him with a large sum of money. He was promoted to higher positions and titles, but Chikura refused, saying, "Thank you, the king's appreciation. But what I have done is not for fame and fortune, but for the West and the people. Our duty is to make progress." The king saw him shirking and insisted on giving him a nomination as a marshal, but he repeatedly refused. Eventually, he couldn't hold back and the king's affection was unbearable. He took all the rewards and said, "Let's give all of them to those deceased heroes and warriors. If the king insists on giving them to me, please give me an orphan. In this cruel war, I have seen many children who have lost their parents due to war, who are displaced and homeless. Therefore, the king may as well build these things. In the rest of my life, I will also do more meaningful things for those orphans. In the future, our country will still need these children to build," said Chakula respectfully. "Since you are so evasive, I don't want to force others to do anything difficult." The king thought for a moment, "All right, I will accept your request and suggestions." A few months later, the king dispatched guards to deliver a naive and innocent girl to General Chakula, who was now 8 years old. Chakula also gave her a beautiful name, Roni. 10 years later, Chikura and his daughter entered the royal city to meet the king. At a kingdom ball, Elaine Rani occasionally showed her elegant, charming, and intelligent behavior, which made the king look at her and couldn't help but feel good about her. The king was also moved by the prince, but didn't say anything or approve anything. A few days later, the king invited her into the palace and became the king's second wife. Although she was a bit lonely in the palace, she was also well fed and carefree. Damn it. What kind of ending is this? It's so annoying, so disappointing. Shan Shuxin roared, "I've been playing this cultivation game for over a year, but he gave me such an ending." As he said, Shan Shuxin threw the mouse aside, put his hands in the back of his head, and lay on the bed next to the computer desk, thinking that he had nurtured her for over a year now and had already developed feelings for her, but was angry about this daughter's ending. How could she become the king's consort? It's true that becoming a prince's consort can be said in the past, although she doesn't really like it. If she still needs to be cultivated later, that would be great. One day, I will definitely help her escape from that king. Unfortunately, this is the ending. Start. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shan Shuxin was thinking about a sound coming from outside the house. He knew who it was when he heard it. It was Xiang who came to his house to find him. Shan Shuxin and Xiang had known each other since childhood. That day, he went to the orphanage with his mother to visit the children and watched as the other children were playing. Only Xiang squatted in the corner crying, and his mother curiously walked over to look at him. She also asked him what was wrong. When he heard it, he looked up and his mother was somewhat surprised. His appearance was strange, with a pointed tooth exposed at the corner of his mouth, which was much longer than ordinary people's teeth. His ears were diamond-shaped, and his fingers and nails were not like ordinary people's. He looked quite sharp, and because of his appearance, many orphanage children dared not approach him. He could only squat in the corner and cry alone. However, his mother did not isolate him and walked over to talk to him kindly, taking him back as a guest. Dan Shuxin's father settled in a beautiful park villa, with a large lawn. Between the lawns, there were several cobblestone paths and numerous flower beds planted with beautiful flowers and lush green plants. The walls were lined with low shrubs, and a few children would occasionally shuttle and play here. Not far away was an artificial lake, with the edges of the lake surrounded by thick stones. Every summer, the lake was full of lotus flowers, and the water was clear. Fish swam and played inside. By the river, there were rows of willow trees, and the wind blew willow branches. The children began to drift, and rows of shrubs made walls showed that this family did not like to keep people out and liked to communicate and make friends. Grandpa played chess with tourists and neighbors in the pavilion, Dad had tea and chat with friends and clients in the living room, Grandma was watering nearby flowers, children were playing hide and seek in the courtyard, Mom was doing charity and donated a lot of money to the nearby children's welfare home. She often brought some children over to play with Shan Shuxin at first. Shan Shuxin was a bit hesitant to approach such children, until he remembered his mother's words that every child was pitiful. They were either abandoned by their parents or both died, and would be sent to this welfare home. Therefore, we should help them. However, when he saw Xiang alone and isolated by other children, he knew he might be even more pitiful, so he accepted and played with this child. So, after Shan Shuxin introduced Xiang to each family member, Shan Shuxin joined the children's hide-and-seek game with Xiang, who was somewhat lonely and afraid to talk to others. Xiang had a great time playing, although his appearance made some children happy. I dare not approach or speak to him, but Shan Shuxin is the king of children here. These children just make do with him and play with him, and later they get better and better. They no longer reject him or feel strange about him. It's also like this. Shan Shuxin and Xiang became very close friends because of him, and Xiang felt warmth and friendship. The facial features gradually faded away, becoming a handsome ordinary child, and in the joyful game, gradually growing up. Xiang had just entered Shan Shuxin's room when he saw the picture in the computer. A woman opened the curtains and looked down at an anime picture outside the window. The background was in a palace. Xiang knew the reason and walked in, saying, "Oh, your cultivation game has come to an end. Let me see what the end is." As he spoke, he walked towards the computer. "It's best not to watch it, this ending is too annoying," said Shan Shu with a hint of sigh in her language. "I'm even more eager to see what you're saying." This sentence made Xiang and Ufa curious about the ending that made the otaku, who had always been passionate about this girl cultivation game, so unhappy. He leaned over to the computer and clicked the re-watch button. It was written as follows. 10 years later, when Chacula brought Elaine Rani into the royal city to meet the king, at a kingdom ball, Elaine Rani occasionally appeared as a charming and intelligent woman, which made the king tempted. Facing the prince who was also tempted by her, the king pretended not to know or say anything. A few days later, the king invited her into the palace and became the king's second wife. Although she was a bit lonely in the palace, she was also well-fed and carefree. Xiang watched the video and then clicked on the ending. It was a scene of an elegant woman dancing at a kingdom ball, followed by the king calmly sitting on his throne and looking ahead. A woman spinning and dancing lightly, and her smiling face chatting with guests all moved him. In the painting, the king's eyes trembled slightly, and her figure was faintly seen inside, indicating the prince's heart. Then, the prince's face showed a surprised expression, and the light in his eyes was also trembling. Then, a blurry figure of Elaine Rani appeared in front of him, and gradually became clear. This was a scene that indicated the prince's heart. The scene is then ignored by the king, followed by the scene of marriage. Next is the scene of the king waiting for her arrival in the palace hall. The camera slowly zooms out, then switches to the road to the castle. The maidservants surround the animal-powered flower carts decorated with flowers and ribbons in the middle. Then the maidservants sprinkle the petals, and the camera pulls up. A piece of wedding petals falls in the air and is blown by the wind in front of them, then held by a jade hand. Finally, the woman is dressed in gorgeous attire, holding the petals in one hand and pulling open the curtains in the other, lonely looking at the scene outside the window. Text emerged, which was the scene that Xiang had just seen when he came in and looked behind the computer. "So it's like this, huh? What are you laughing at?" "It's nothing, I just didn't expect that you," the child Wang, would also have a sad expression. Xiang paused and continued, "How do you like the ending with the prince?" "I don't like it either. I don't even like those who marry powerful people." "What do you like, a female general? A female pastor? Or?" Xiang continued to ask, then stopped, "Or what?" Shuxin curiously asked when he saw Xiang suddenly not speaking, "Living happily with you?" Xiang joked. "Well." Shuxin thought for a moment and didn't know what to say before jokingly saying, "I do have this idea, it's just a different dimension." You really have a crush on her?" Seeing Xiang say this, it's actually because he has also thought about this issue. He's not interested in this virtual daughter either. It's just because he raised her for so long, but the end result is unsatisfactory to him. Moreover, in reality, which father is willing to marry his daughter to someone who is several decades older than her, even someone who is a generation older than his father, or even taller? Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. What's the point of coming to me today? Shuxin didn't want to bring up this anymore and changed the topic. "Well, I need to refer to Professor Fan's archaeological excavation in a few days, so I came to discuss with you and see what we need to prepare, or we can ask the professor together." "There's no need to ask. We're interning in a team and don't need to bring anything. Just take a note and a camera. Don't worry." "Oh, is it that simple?" After listening, Xiang felt that he still needed to be foolproof, so he didn't listen to him much. "Forget it, I still won't listen to you. I'll go ask Professor Fan if we want to go together." Shuxin thought for a moment and said, "Anyway, staying at home is also okay, and going out for a walk is also possible." So, we went together. Fan Wenhao is a friend of Dan Shuxin's father, and both of them have the same dream of conducting archaeological research. Later, when Dan's father's family disagreed, he was forced to give up his archaeological dream and started a business for his family. Later, his family also had the capital to invest in a park villa. Over the years, he also saved a lot of money. In order to continue his archaeological dream, he invested in the City Research Institute where his good brother was located, and his good brother became one of them. The professor, researcher, and manager of the City Research Institute went to www.zhaoshuyuan.com to ask his brother to continue his archaeological dream. A few days ago, Fan Wenhao was invited to an international archaeological team to investigate a 3-no-matter area in the west of Asia. It was said that a huge ancient relic had been discovered there, and Fan Wenhao was appointed as the captain of the Chinese expedition team. A few members of the team went to investigate the relic together. Although Shuxin didn't like archaeology, his father insisted on sending him for an internship. However, Shuxin preferred some military tactics and strategies, as well as game development and strategies. So he knew that he would feel bored there, so he called his good brother Xiang along. Moreover, Xiang liked this ancient thing very much, and his father had to agree. Xiang is an archaeology fan. Once, Xiang was manipulated by some unknown means, or was sleepwalking. He wrote a character in a notebook with an unknown password that no one could understand. From then on, he began to study ancient things. In order to unlock that password as soon as possible, he became obsessed with archaeology, profession that investigates ancient civilization. As soon as he arrived at Fan Wenhao's house, Xiang asked several questions in a row. What kind of clothes were needed, what tools to bring, whether food and water needed to be brought, what to pack in the backpack, what to pay attention to, whether to use weapons and equipment, and what to do in case of danger. It seemed like survival in the wilderness. Fan Wenhao was also patient enough to explain to him one by one, archaeological work is not geological work, and there is no fixed place to live. We need to camp in one place and live for a period of time. This huge ancient relic was discovered in a deserted and primitive forest, so it may take 4 to 5 months or even longer to live in that place. During this period, who knows what will happen, so equipment and other things cannot be too simple or too complex. Xiang also wrote down one by one in his notebook. Inscription. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A few days later, it was finally time to set off. Xiang had already prepared everything properly, but Shuxin had not prepared anything. As he was about to set off, his parents had already prepared all the necessary equipment for Shuxin, including archaeological tools, geological hammers, chisels, brushes, gloves, cameras, magnifying glasses, flashlights, a universal military shovel for self-defense, a Swiss military knife, a telescope, and clothing that needed to be waterproof and breathable. Outdoor boots were quick drying, wear-resistant pants, shirts, vests, wide-brimmed hats with back drapes, masks, and wrist protectors. Then there were sleeping bags, desk lamps, and laptops for outdoor camping. There are a lot of folding chairs, and when I put these things into my backpack, they weigh dozens of kilograms. I carried them on my back and walked a long distance. In order not to feel too bored, Shuxin also brought a mobile phone over. Because there were too many people, they took a rented bus and rushed to the airport together. The plane arrived at around 11 p.m., which was also early morning in the 3 independent regions of West Asia. When we met with an overseas Chinese from our own country, we went straight to the ancient giant ruins. This overseas Chinese will be the translator of this archaeological team, proficient in multiple languages of the borders of West Asian countries. He discovered that the land was located on a piece of land in a border area of 4 countries, because perhaps the 4 countries did not have their own land boundaries properly defined, or because each country wanted to have the right to use this land but did not want to be the first person to propose land ownership rights. They were afraid of starting a war, so they kept it in this position and no one said it. Over time, this place became a place where the primitive forest, which has been neglected for hundreds of years, has been explored by a team of adventurers who have found such a relic covering the deepest part of the primitive forest. Of course, there are only a few explorers left, and only a few people have emerged from such a primitive forest. Once this news spread, the archaeological research headquarters of each country proposed to the leaders of various countries to go here to study archaeology. Thus, teams of scientific research teams began to advance towards this place one after another. There was nothing to do with the Chinese scientific research team, because this primitive forest was located in the west of Asia, and the main reason was that many stone tablets with Chinese characters appeared in this ruins, which was why the Chinese archaeological team was invited to study. Scientific research from various countries raided this place where the compass could not be used, startling many fierce beasts living here, some dead and some injured. The Chinese scientific research team was relatively lucky and was only invited later. The helicopter landed directly in the middle of the ruins camp, which was already surrounded by layers of defense and a mercenary in a barracks, and upon arriving at the base camp, some stone tablets have already been unearthed, and many foreigners are digging and exploring on site. Fan Wenhao took Shuxin, Xiang, and the team members to the temporary cultural relic storage area, where they visited the unearthed relics. Most of them were stone tablets and statues, with different shapes. The smallest ones were half the height of a person, and the largest ones had armor patterns on them that exceeded the height of a person before being unearthed. There were also small pieces of cultural relics carved into wings. Many people believed that these were things from outer planets, while others believed that they were ancient legendary figures in the West. Satan's fortress may also be because of this. The ruins are located just above a dead volcano, and it seems that the demons of hell are all linked to flames. Isn't this a big volcano before? And there are indeed many stone tablets with Chinese characters in these stone tablets. The stone tablets are semi-circular and elongated, with a thickness of 7 or 8 centimeters. There is a strange hole on the semi-circular part of the stone tablet, which should have been embedded with some gemstones or other things before. They came to visit the largest stone tablet, and the characters on it were visible to Fan Wenhao at a glance. Although the characters were somewhat incomplete, the meaning should be that. He began to read them according to the words on the stone tablet. A long, long time ago, in a distant period, there was already an environment for life to survive in. During that period, many civilizations had already developed, and among a series of Western civilizations, there was a distant country where people lived worry-free lives. However, one day, a demon god was born in the border area of this country. It was born with a celestial anomaly, and the sky was covered with black clouds and thunder shook. At that time, a ray of chaotic energy fell to the west like a meteor after 9 days and 9 nights, and into the mortal world, giving birth to a powerful demon god, Bast. Dan Shuxin was a bit surprised. The stone tablet looked a bit similar to a story I saw a year ago, so he amplified his voice and said. Everyone was surprised to see him so much and asked what had happened, and they all looked at him. However, when Shan Shuxin found out that he had suffered some setbacks, he said it was okay and everyone didn't take it seriously. He continued to study. The great demon king, alone in a deserted place, established a free dynasty filled with demons and monsters. Many demons and monsters from various continents came to join him. At first, the king here did not pay too much attention to him, only thinking it was a celestial anomaly, so he did not go to defend himself. However, as Bast's subjects increased, Bast began to establish connections with these humans and lived together with them for more than 10 years. However, as he learned about many human things, his ambition grew stronger, and his territory expanded. From time to time, demons continued to stir up trouble along the borders of various neighboring countries, which was a three-no-matter area without local management. As his ambition grew, the great demon king was determined to take control of both the ancient and nearby countries. As a result, the great demon king began to run rampant in this country, causing unrest among the people. The news quickly spread to the king's ears, and the king summoned all the ministers to discuss countermeasures. Just as the king and ministers were at a loss about this matter, Bast's voice came from above the palace, and the king and ministers heard it and walked out of the palace. The dark clouds gathered around the face of the demon king, and it turned out that Buster was leading a group of demon lords to declare war on the northern border of the ancient country. These are the clearer ones in the stone tablet, and the ones behind can no longer be seen clearly. After listening to these, the translator said, "Isn't it true that Lucifer, the angel of Lucifer, experienced lightning from the sky after falling? It's a bit similar to what this story describes. He also led the angel to declare war on the heavens." When Shan Shuxin heard this, his expression changed from surprise to shock. Isn't this not much different from the starting copy of my previous game? How could it appear here? He felt a bit strange, but didn't know how to say it. What's wrong with you? Xiang couldn't help but ask as he looked at Dan Shuxin's strange expression. Upon hearing this, Shan Shuxin replied that it was nothing but. He felt like he was still in a dream. A very long dream. In my dream. What kind of dream are you having? It's so real that you've caught me in. Xiang smiled and thought for a moment, why don't you try hitting yourself in the face? I heard that hitting yourself in a dream doesn't hurt, so give it a try. Xiang continued jokingly. You're right. With just a snap, the skin turned much redder from white to red. It hurts. What are you doing? A teammate next to him had a red patch on his arm, and if Shan Shuxin knew it would hurt, it would be a reality. So he ignored the teammate who was slapped in pain and walked forward, saying, "It's not a dream." He followed the professor's team from beside this unlucky teammate, leaving behind a bewildered teammate, and what Xiang was curious about was what Lucifer, what Satan devil, and so on. He curiously asked Professor Fan Wenhao, and Fan Wenhao told him the story of the fallen angel in Western folklore. Lucifer is known as the Star of Dawn. Before the rebellion, he was the most beautiful and powerful angel in the heavenly realm, with a radiance and courage that no angel could match. He was listed as the most admired of the Satan-level great demon kings. It is said that Lucifer refused to submit to the Son and those created by God in his own image, leading 1/3 of the angels to raise the banner of rebellion in the northern realm of heaven. After 3 days of battle with the Holy Spirit, Lucifer's rebellion was finally defeated by God and the army of angels he created. In the chaos of the universe, 9 layers of heaven fell, and it took 9 mornings and dusk to fall to hell. Xiang realized that he still had a lot of knowledge to learn, so he wrote down the names of Lucifer and Satan in his notes, hoping to go back in the future and search for these things and the information inside. Fan Wenhao saw that Xiang was so eager to learn, and said to him, "I will gradually understand these things in the future," and the stories translated are quotes from the Bible and stories from Paradise Lost. Xiang just nodded and said he knew. "If you like these 2 books, I will lend them to you after the visit ends." Xiang was very happy after listening and thanked the translator in advance. After listening to it, Shuxin realized that some of the plots in his game were somewhat similar to this story. However, after listening to the story told by the professor, he also understood something. Perhaps the plot was written based on these Bibles and some stories from religious sects in countries and regions in West Asia and the West. That's why he felt so similar after visiting the stone tablets that had just been unearthed. Fan Wenhao said something to the personnel here. Fan Wenhao then began to search for an area that had not yet been excavated and instructed the team to carry out excavation work. I just didn't expect such an experience to be just the beginning. Pass through. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. On the first and second day of excavation work, Shuxin and Xiang did not participate. As they were apprentice archaeology teammates, Fan Wenhao only let them watch from the side. However, Xiang couldn't resist his own preferences, so he wanted to go down and excavate archaeology with other teammates. Professor Fan Wenhao saw that he insisted on helping others, so he directed the work of other team members and talked to Xiang about the things to pay attention to when excavating the site. Shuxin saw that Xiang wanted to help, but it was boring to stand alone and watch. So he also came to Xiang's place, archaeology with him, and helped each other. The excavation work had already been carried out for several days before the Chinese team arrived, and with the addition of the Chinese archaeological team, a huge skull statue over 2 meters high slowly appeared in front of the team. In addition, many scattered bone fossils were also found elsewhere, and some dilapidated armor pieces and weapons were unearthed. These things excited the scientific research team for a while, and even excited Professor Fan Wenhao. He couldn't imagine that there were so many unimaginable discoveries in the intersection of West Asia, Europe, and Africa, with many special Oriental cultural relics, which made Fan Wenhao very happy. He believes that this is a trace of ancestors living on the other side of the earth, and he doesn't know how it passed. This is really a good research direction. If we understand the series of events here and think about the discovery of the history of the New World, it would have been thousands of years ago. Some bloodlines may have changed long ago, but he thinks Xiang was amazed by these excavated cultural relics. When he saw these things, fragments of images appeared in his mind, and the images in his mind froze him in place. He looked around and then looked at the 2-meter-tall massive head, wearing knight armor, with his eyes covered by armor. He had 2 big horns on his head, and his long hair hung down from his cheeks to his neck. Like a demon in the folk culture of the West, he has some unspeakable familiarity, which seems to be like himself at that time, a little similar. But when he thought of similarity, he directly denied it in his heart, because he has become the same person as everyone, and does not want to think about his bullied and isolated self at that time anymore. Shuxin saw Xiang and was thinking about something before coming forward to ask, "What's wrong with you?" Upon hearing Shuxin's question, Xiang only replied, "It's nothing, it's just a bit familiar. It seems like he's in a dream." "Huh, you also have the same feeling as me. How about you try hitting yourself and see if you're dreaming?" Shuxin finished speaking and sat on a nearby stone, then hammered his thigh and said, "It's really sour to have been squatting like this for archaeology." After listening to what he said, Xiang thought about some things in his mind and said disapprovingly, "If you feel tired, it means you're not dreaming. It's hard to tell if that's a dream until you experience it firsthand." Shuxin continued jokingly urging, and Xiang, being urged by this, couldn't get tired of it. Suddenly, his mind twitched, I'll give it a try. As he spoke, he heard another sound of popping. Oh, it hurts, what are you doing? The team member who had just been slapped by Shuxin called out again. It doesn't seem like a dream either. Xiang said, then quickly said to his teammates, I'm sorry, I thought it was in a dream. The teammate gently stroked the other arm and said, it's not a dream, okay. You need to hit yourself. Xiang quickly apologized again, I'm sorry. But Shuxin laughed heartily, taking out a bottle of water and giving it to the team member. Let's just treat it as if we're being criticized for it. Don't take it to heart, the teammate said, that's pretty much the same. And at this moment, a teammate exclaimed, look what I've dug up. Everyone looked towards her and saw a handsome accessory with a gemstone on top. The carrier of the gemstone was a metal handicraft that looked like 4 wings, with an oval shape. The upper pair of wings were small and converging into a cone, while the lower pair of wings were large. They opened and formed a circle, as if embracing each other with both hands. This circle happened to hold on to the yellow gemstone, which was exquisite and beautiful, about an inch long. The middle gemstone, like an unpolished diamond, accounted for about 1/3 of the entire piece, sparkling and translucent in the sunlight, shining brightly. And this also caught everyone's attention. Shuxin was the first to take a look, but when he first touched the handicraft, the gem burst into a dazzling light. The piercing light startled Shuxin, and his eyes suddenly couldn't open. When he stepped back, he happened to step on Xiang, who was about to come over. The two of them fell together, and Xiang's hand was accidentally scratched. Are you okay? Everyone asked in unison, but we couldn't see the figures of the two people, only knowing that they had just fallen. It's okay, Xiang said as he slowly stood up, his hand right on top of the huge skull statue. Blood also stained the statue, and in that moment, a pitch-black abyss appeared underground. Before the two of them could react, they fell into it. The sudden sense of weightlessness made both of them scream out loud, and the 10,000 zhang radiance ended. The two of them disappeared from the archaeological site like this. Fan Wenhao, who was in command, watched the situation and chased after them, but couldn't see them. His teammate also followed him, and Fan Wenhao was affected by such a magical scene. My mind was a bit blank, feeling unbelievable. I couldn't help but say, this must be a dream. Then, I turned around and saw that my teammate heard these words and didn't dare to go any further. He looked at him with fear and said, don't target me anymore. This is not a dream, this is not a dream. On the other side, the two of them fell for an unknown amount of time. They fell from the front of a giant stone statue in a huge palace, and due to the inertia of the falling speed, they could not open their eyes. Shuxin didn't know where this was, but felt like he was falling at a high speed. However, he forcefully opened a little gap between his eyes and found that the two were about to collide with the ground and make intimate contact with the ground. However, he didn't know how to turn and move in high altitude, without a support point. They could only let their bodies fall. As they were about to collide with the ground, suddenly something like a belt caught them, feeling wrapped around him. They were also grateful for the things on their bodies, because fortunately they were caught by something like this, which prevented them from smashing themselves into meat patties due to inertia and gravity. When the two opened their eyes, the sight in front of them startled them all. There were many eyes on the thing that saved them, but then they were surprised because they were still flying in the air, and along the way, there were many strange birds flying in the sky that they had never seen before, with white clouds floating in the air and passing by them, making them feel cold. Looking forward along the huge belt that enveloped them, a huge body appeared in sight, with many eyes covering the whole body. Behind the monster, there were also 2 pairs of huge wings. However, what saved them were 2 things behind them that were like wings but not like wings, with many eyes covering them. These things like wings, like bones, could bend freely. They didn't count how many eyes she or he had. What exactly is this strange creature? How did we get here? Xiang looked ahead. Where is this? When they had a question, the huge band that wrapped around them moved, and they were startled. They didn't know what this strange creature was going to do, but when they dragged them to the front, they saw that the head was also covered in many eyes, with 3 huge and round eyes on each side. When the monster in front of them looked at them, instantly, I felt hundreds of eyes staring at them, afraid to say anything. Looking at the slowly approaching ground ahead, the 2 of them felt a bit strange as to what exactly was going on. No one answered them, but the strange creature spoke. As soon as the air in its mouth came out, it whirled through the book garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com. A thick voice rang out. Who are you? They didn't quite understand what he was saying, but fortunately, Xiang listened carefully enough to understand what he meant. Isn't that English? After listening carefully, they realized it was. How did you come here? He asked them again who they were and how they came here. After listening, Xiang said to him, we came from the east and were broken here by force majeure. Where is it? We came from the east and were brought here by force majeure. Where is this? Shuxin saw Xiang talking to him and knew that it was English he was speaking. He also understood it a bit, but it was not as good as Xiang's, mainly because he was forced to learn by his parents. They said that learning this well would be very helpful for the future. Whenever this happened, he would use a joke on the internet to explain that it was okay if he didn't learn. He was a patriotic young man who didn't learn and was patriotic. He didn't need to learn Western languages. Unexpectedly, he didn't learn much now but still used it. Although his language was not fluent, he could still understand it. So he asked him in this awkward English. What is pray and wow, we see here? What is this place and why are we here? That peculiar creature, due to its large size, was separated from Danshu Xiang by a hurricane flying in the air. Therefore, the peculiar creature did not understand what they were saying, so it placed them on his wings and the 2 of them on his back, heading towards the land. At this moment, Xiang asked him again, what is this place? This peculiar creature finally understood their words and said to them, this is the realm of chaos. Angel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This large creature put them down in the middle of this temple, and then slowly shrank into the same size as them, closing all their eyes and transforming into a character image. The 100-eyed chain behind them also slowly transformed into wings, and the armor on his body could not disappear, only slowly shrinking to cover every crucial part of him. When they saw him, Xiang and Shuxin realized that he was actually a handsome angel uncle, about 1.9 meters tall, and politely greeted them. They also greeted him. Then the angel began to introduce himself. It turned out that he was the angel of the Angel Temple. He came to the Chaos Temple to observe the disasters of war in the human world, but he didn't know when he flew down. After observing, he found out that the war here had dissipated for more than 20 years. Shuxin and Xiang could understand that in Eastern mythology, a day in the sky and a day on the ground lasted for several years. However, they didn't expect that while they were archaeologizing, they accidentally came to this strange and dreamy time and space, and the angel was here to investigate what kind of disaster. They asked the angel, and the angel didn't hide anything. It turned out that a chaotic aura had drifted from somewhere in the universe, and when it fell, it was invisible. But when it came to the human world, it began to imitate the good and evil of the human world, as well as the ketone body of its limbs. However, it met the Satan demon, and later the chaotic aura was bewitched by the demon, becoming an evil chaotic demon king. This made him originally a newborn pure white object, gradually becoming a fixed form and appearance. He also stirred up a big war here, directly affecting various Western countries, and the Heavenly Temple was also affected. Only then did he come here to explore. Checked it, and coincidentally met you who were falling, and saved these 2 mortal bodies, the Heavenly Temple. Yes, the responsibility of the heavenly temple is to protect the center of this universe. In addition to the heavenly temple, there are also other heavenly kingdoms in other places working together to protect the safety of this planet. Are you saying that Earth is the center of the universe? Earth. I'm not sure what kind of Earth it is, but I know that protecting this planet is our angel's responsibility, because here gathers the tree of life that connects the entire universe. Once this tree of life is cut off, countless disasters will occur, and various galaxies will lose their connection as a result. The tree of life. A chain connecting various galaxies. The angel nodded. What would happen if the link was lost and the chain was severed? Xiang asked curiously. I haven't encountered this before, I don't understand it. Of course, it's not your responsibility either. It's an obligation that we, the guardians of the universe, need to fulfill. Upon hearing this, Shuxin Xiang also looked bewildered. He didn't know what was going on. He was just exploring archaeological sites in the west, but how did he fall into this strange place? There were so many strange birds and beasts, and he even saw angels. Does this mean that we have fallen down and our bodies have unknowingly dissipated into souls, and it is also because of what happened in this western three-no-matter zone that we arrived at this unknown time and space? So when I came to this space, what I saw was the heavenly kingdom in the west, not the Yen Luo in the east. They were not quite sure, but to be honest, he had never seen such a place before. It was really beautiful. In the distance, there were green landscapes and mountains, and near, there was a magnificent and huge temple. In the sky, there were colorful feathered birds flying. I don't know what unknown species were walking underground. It was really fantastic. And I also saw the mythological zodiac angel in West Asia. The angel looked around and said, the war in the mortal world has disappeared and subsided, and I don't need to linger too much anymore. He then looked up and spread his wings, roaring straight into the sky. Let me go here and take a look around. He then flapped his wings and flew out 100 meters high in an instant. Wait a moment, how should we leave here? Shuxin had no intention of seeing any scenery. He only wanted to know what exactly this place was. Seeing him like this, Xiang suggested that it would be more enjoyable to visit this place after all the people had come. Anyway, there was nothing else to do now, and everyone didn't know where they had gone. As he spoke, he searched everywhere, and Shuxin had no choice but to leave with him. There are many totems and stone tablets in the temple, each with a pair of devil-like horns on top of it. Turning around, there are also deformed wings on the body. Looking towards the innermost part of the temple from afar, a small seat-like object entered their eyes and curiously ran towards it. After more than 10 minutes, they slowly walked into the temple. The statues in front of them came into view, and their shapes were also different. Some looked like vampires in legend, with long sharp teeth in their mouths and bats beside them. Some animals had many bodies wrapped around them. There are many vines, some of which have human faces and bird bodies, hair accessories like bird feathers, and many bird feathers grow on their arms. Some have long hair on their bodies, and their feet look like tigers. Each shape is a bit strange, and each stone statue has several steps. At the end of the steps, there are seats. The most attractive thing is the huge seat in the middle, which has the shape of huge wings, a pair of big horns on its head, eyes with a murderous aura, but its mouth shows a smile and sharp teeth. This statue is located behind the seat, surrounded by several nameless stone tablets. There are also many holes on the tablets, and no one knows what this hole is used for. Xiang watched them carefully and asked Shuxin to come and take a look. Was this hole the strange gemstone dug by the archaeological team at that time to be embedded? After listening to it, Shuxin slowly approached him, looking a bit similar in shape. Xiang asked if he had brought it with him. Shuxin explored various parts of his body, but the four-winged metal wings embedded with gemstones were not on him. Perhaps they had fallen somewhere at some point. Are you looking for them? Xiang said, Do I remember the gemstone was in your hand when you fell into the abyss? Shan Shuxin said, and then they unloaded all the items on their backpack. There were not many items in their backpack, so it should be those 2 days. Shan Shuxin and Xiang had all the items in their backpack. Placed in a temporary arrangement at the archaeological base, the backpack now only contained some food and sleep, a notebook followed by military knives and shovels, and some archaeological materials. Finally, the gemstone handicraft was found in the bottom layer of the backpack. It turned out that when Shan Shuxin fell, his body weight was heavier than the gemstone. Therefore, when he was caught by the angel, the gemstone also fell into his backpack. When talking with the angel, he unconsciously put it in his backpack. After taking it out, Shan Shuxin tried to see if the round holes were right or not. Unexpectedly, they were right, but nothing strange happened. Xiang looked at each hole and touched it with his hand. When he saw what was wrong, his injured arm happened to touch the stone statue, and the blood stained it. Suddenly, the nearby ground shook. Before they could react, the ground under his feet shattered in half, almost throwing them into a pit. The ground in front of him collapsed bit by bit, and pieces of gravel and dust laid under the temple also fell into a deep abyss, causing Xiang and Shan Shuxin was so scared that they retreated one after another, and had no choice but to run out. What's the situation? Just as we arrived here, an earthquake started here. Before they could finish speaking, their speed couldn't keep up with the changes in the ground. A large crack under their feet cracked, and the stone under their feet fell into the abyss. They also lost their center of gravity and fell down. Why are we so unlucky? Shan Shuxin said, seeing that they were about to be swallowed by the abyss again. At this critical moment, the angel suddenly flew over, then it transformed into a 100-eyed monster that caught and lifted them up, and they slowly rose to a safe place to put them down on the ground. They could see bursts of heat and flames emerging from the cracks, something unknown slowly climbing out towards the ground. Each monster looked strange, like the little demons of hell, and these things surrounded the 3 of them, some big and some small, with strange shapes. What is the situation? Where have we come from? Devil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The monsters stared at 2 people, then slowly approached. A vicious dog with black, purple and blood-white stripes all over its head and body. The stripes on the dog's body were like that of a skeletal dog with external bones, with blood-red light in its eyes and sharp teeth in its mouth, making it look creepy. It slowly approached, smelling with its nose at the places they passed by. As the strange creatures approached step by step, the environment around it became gloomy and cool. The zodiac angel also changed back to its angelic form. Shan Shuxin and Xiang leaned closer and closer, constantly on guard, afraid that these monsters would suddenly attack. So good. With their equipment still on their bodies, Shan Shuxin took out a military shovel and Xiang took out a military knife for self-defense, but it didn't help much. When these monsters surrounded them, Zwa Angel said these were monsters crawling out of hell. It seems like there will be a battle today. You hide behind me. These little monsters can be dealt with alone. Dan Shuxin and Xiang really want to hide behind him, but these monsters have surrounded them. Where are they going to hide at this moment? The evil dog was slowly approaching. Just as it was about to come over, the angel opened one of its wing eyes and transformed into a 100-eyed monster's wings, expanding and extending, directly restraining and tightening the evil dog. The evil dog could only howl and moan, unable to move. Then the angel threw it out and crashed directly into the wall, falling down. The evil dog couldn't even try to get up. Just then, a strange monster with a fiery red light suddenly jumped out of the abyss crack. His body was shrouded in flames, with a human face, tiger-like paws, long white hair from shoulder to chest, and a back covered in long white hair. His long hair draped straight down his body, and then he slowly fell back into the shape of a fallen angel, greeting the angel, "Don't be safe, constellation." The angel saw the appearance of the fallen angel and said, "How could you be here?" Did you cause everything here? Me. Hee, what have I caused? Isn't it still clear here with thousands of miles of sunshine and good time? Chaos is reborn, yet you have not guided him on the right path, yet you have tempted him into ambition, selfishness, and slaughter. The tragedy of the world has just passed 20 days. Why are you here again? I have no intention of interfering in human affairs, I am only sincerely serving the Lord. Why should I give guidance? And this is how the world is, filled with arrogance, jealousy, anger, laziness, greed, and desire. Are you saying that this has nothing to do with you? The death of sin is not just the fallen Lucifer, who is now Satan's masterpiece. Therefore, many of them, along with God's new creations, have been deceived and willingly fallen together, filling the world with the 7 sins. It has also opened the door to the world for you demons. The death of sin has spread to every corner of this universe, and some have even become puppets of the Satan army. And now, the second war in the angel temple is not brought about by your faith in Satan. That 7-headed snake monster. I'm sorry, I don't believe in him, and I don't know what you're talking about in the Second Temple War. I won't believe you. Back then, you followed Satan and fought against the heavenly temple together. You said these things had nothing to do with you and had no intention of interfering in the rebellion. However, in the end, you still rebelled against Satan against the heavenly court and ended up falling to hell with him. Not a word from you was true. Speaking of which, I haven't calculated this account with you yet. If it weren't for you spreading the news, how could the 7-headed snake monster have failed? I wouldn't have experienced so much. Maybe now I have already ascended to the position of archangel, and now I see that you don't have much sublimation. From the angel of strength, you have only become the current angel of thrones. You should wake up now. Your desires and ambitions are too obvious, and the ambition of the Satan you are following is even greater, so I don't need to do this. The holy angel and other archangels can see clearly, it's just arranged already. Just as they were talking, they were also talking to each other. Shuxin was a bit confused when he heard, what crime died of illness, and the door to the demon world opened. Xiang replied, they should be talking about the 7 original sins of human beings. I just saw this passage in the book that was translated to me. I don't look at any foreign immortals. This is culture, foreign culture, not just about immortals. I haven't read Chinese culture to the fullest. Why study foreign cultures? Xiang could only smile helplessly and say, culture can be learned from each other. Don't you also need to know what topics your friends like when making friends? It's what the art of war says, know yourself and know your enemy. Then I'll learn the good ones and let the bad ones go. About that. The two of them were speaking when a scolding came over, stop talking nonsense, your defection on the battlefield has made me so embarrassed now. It's just that we'll have a showdown today. After speaking, the fallen angel attacked the zodiac angel, and the monsters also retreated to the side. The fallen angel produced a scorching fireball out of nowhere, heading straight towards the zodiac angel. Seeing that the zodiac angel's wings met in front of him, a wind formed and wrapped around him, just in opposition to the fireball. As soon as the zodiac angel spread out his wings, the fallen angel quickly covered his ears with lightning and generated even larger fireballs with both hands, which rushed towards the zodiac angel. One of the zodiac angels did not pay attention and just hit his body. Fortunately, the armor on his body suffered a lot of damage, only causing him to step back a few steps. As the fallen angel took advantage of his retreat, another fireball burned his hands and headed towards the zodiac angel one by one. The zodiac angel saw this and opened his wings to protect his whole body with 100 eyes. Then, a barrier gradually formed, rotating a few meters around him, disintegrating all the fireballs and merging them into the 100 eyes. The fallen angel even laughed at the zodiac angel Dao when he saw this. What's the use of his armor? The speed is too slow, how can he compare with him? As the fireball grew more and more, the hot air gradually expanded and then exploded in an instant, scaring away all the monsters around and running away. Shan Shuxin and Xiang also retreated to a stone statue to observe their battle. The fallen angel couldn't avoid the situation and flew upwards. Fortunately, he dodged in time and fell on his own fireball and double the explosive energy. So he flew around him with the angel as the central axis, not forgetting to attack him. He wanted to find a breakthrough, and the angel was always on the ground to guard his every move on the battlefield. A tragic voice kept howling. Xiang looked towards the howling position and saw that the three-headed dog had been injured by an angel. It could no longer move and wanted to escape from the battlefield, but its feet were injured and its movement became much slower. Xiang looked at the battlefield with pity. He found a safe gap and ran to the side of the three-headed dog. When Shan Shuxin saw him asking him this, he also ran over to see Xiang's every move. Xiang wanted to help him pull it away, but unfortunately, his abilities were limited and he didn't have much effect. At the same time, a stream of air energy rushed towards Xiang and the three-headed dog. Just as the impending aftershock was about to hit Xiang, he was knocked down by the daring Shan Shuxin. The aftershock swept over their heads, and the newly worn lines on the handicraft of the novice Shan Shuxin were cut off and fell to the ground. Looking at the blade like a knife, Xiang couldn't help but thank Shan Shuxin and asked him if he had anything to do. "If you're okay, that's all," Shan Shuxin said, and went with him to take the three-headed dog to a safe place, hide behind the giant stone statue, and watch the battle scene between the two angels, which shocked him to the point where he forgot that he had also been skinned by the aftershock. It was only when Xiang saw it that he realized, but fortunately it was only a small piece and didn't bleed much. After Shan Shuxin took out a band-aid and applied it, the two of them went to check the injuries of the three-headed dog. Their whole body was in pain from being hit by a flying object and hitting the wall, and one of the back was injured by a sharp object, leaving a lot of blood. There was also a slight fracture in the back leg. Xiang looked at it and said that it needed to be bandaged, but it was also good because camping in the wild would inevitably be trampled or scratched by something. He put a first aid kit in his backpack, which happened to be useful. At the location of the fracture, Xiang deliberately learned how to fix the broken bone, saying that it needed to get a straight stick to fix the bone. The two of them looked for it. "Come and go, see, these archaeological equipment are no longer useful, just fix the bones for it." So the two of them fixed the bones with a brush for archaeology, a pen for recording, and some straight objects, and then wrapped them up. Now it can barely stand up. The battle between the two angels continued, but they did not transform into their original form. Transforming into their original form could turn the entire Chaos Temple into ruins. They did not intend to do so, so they restrained their abilities a lot. Even demons or angels do not want to affect innocent creatures. They all understand that there are two humans here. I don't know how long the battle lasted. In the protection of the 100 eyes, the angel revealed a flaw. Perhaps it was because the battle had lasted too long, and both of them were a bit tired. So they were found an opportunity by the fallen angel, captured, and a huge fireball fell from the sky. The scorching flames directly burned the angel's 100 eyes, making it difficult to see clearly. The fallen angel looked at the angel, who had lost his combat power, so he stopped attacking and sat on the ground panting. Perhaps this day's battle had made them all a bit tired. The fallen angel looked at the angel he had defeated, mocking him and saying, "It has been so long, but he still hasn't made any progress." "How much? You still lost to me." Now the fallen angel, who had finished resting, slowly approached the angel and gathered a fireball in his hand. "Go back and be reborn," he said, wanting to give the angel a final blow, but also because he believed too much in his own strength. He was locked in front of him and laughed at you for overestimating yourself. "It was still a long time since you wanted to defeat me." He once again opened his 100 eyes and gathered energy around him, engulfing the fallen angel's fireball and exploding on his body. As the last wave of energy ended, his 100 eyes were severely injured, some even blinded, retreating into wings, injured wings. Xiang and Shuxin arrived on the battlefield together, just as they saw the two angels falling to the ground like this, deeply injured. Although the angel was injured even more severely, fortunately his armor withstood the fatal blow and he did not die. Drilling wood. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Unconsciously, heavy rain began to fall in the sky. Shuxin and Xiang couldn't bear to see the two of them still fainting and lying there. Driven by kindness, they wanted to drag them to the interior of the Chaos Temple for recuperation, but their weights were not so light. Shuxin could barely drag a little, but Xiang didn't have much strength. At this moment, due to force, the wound that was originally supposed to fall and be cut open was once again cut off from the just connected flesh and blood. Xiang let out in pain, and Shuxin asked him what was wrong. Xiang said, "Nothing, was just that the wound had just healed and cracked again. Kai, it's not a big deal." As they spoke, the two of them continued to want to drag the two angels into the temple. Fortunately, the three-headed dog woke up from sleep and looked at each other, then went over to help them. Although their feet were not fully healed, they looked at the person who saved them and tried hard to lift the two angels there. They went over to help. Finally, with the help of the two people and the monster, they carried the two angels into the chaotic temple for recuperation. It was about a day before they opened their eyes. When they opened their eyes and looked around, he flicked his long hair hanging in front of his eyes with his fingers and looked at the two people around him. He didn't know what they were doing. He saw them holding a relatively straight small wooden stick, sharpening both ends. Then, he took out a rope and tied it to the two ends of the other stick. He tightened the rope until the stick was bent, forming a small bow. Then, he wrapped the rope twice around the small wooden stick with two pointed ends, pressing the upper end with a stone, and pulled the small bow to start pulling at the wood on the ground. Oh, the fallen angel looked curious and stood up, feeling a bit exhausted. It was evident that the battle had caused him severe injuries. He then looked at the wound on his body being bandaged, and the feathers on his wings becoming much rarer and unable to fly. Seeing the movements of the two humans, he asked curiously, "What is this?" The two of them reacted and asked, "You're awake, we're drilling wood to start a fire." Taking fire. Without a spark, can we produce a spark? I'm not sure, I'm trying. The fallen angel looked at them and couldn't help but laugh at the actions of these two humans. What's the use of this? Let me turn you into a spark. The two of them looked curiously at each other. Right. We don't know how you started the fire in the distance, but it could be a feast for the eyes. Saying two expectant looks. The fallen angel proudly cast magic and said incomprehensible spells. Unexpectedly, a small flame appeared on his finger. Just as the two stared and exclaimed in amazement, the flame went out directly, with a few wisps of white smoke floating in his hands. Just as they were about to speak, the fire extinguished and he could only let out a disappointed "Hi." The fallen angel also felt strange, but seeing the disappointment of the two people who helped him, he continued to cast spells and chant. The flame came out again, but soon extinguished again. After several times in a row, in the surprise, and sigh of the two humans, the flames stopped working and couldn't come out. The fallen angel was also a bit embarrassed. After thinking for a moment, perhaps the damage he suffered this time was too heavy, and the magic didn't work. He could only awkwardly stroke his long hair that had fallen down again, and his expression was also a bit awkward. He said, "This battle has greatly damaged my ability. If there were no problems before, I would have changed the topic. Can you really plant a flame like this?" The two of them said, "This is a skill invented by their eastern ancestor, the Swearen clan, and there must be no problem." As they spoke, some hay under the wood was drilled into smoke, and then sparks began to appear. Xiang used his mouth to blow on the sparks, then lit the hay, and then added some wood blocks to create a flame. The fallen angel looked at it, which was quite novel. He nodded and continued to watch, but was a little curious. When he had nothing to do, he began to hold a pointed wooden stick and rotate it back and forth with both hands to rub a piece of wood on the ground. Shuxin looked at it and said, "It's impossible to drill out of Mars like this, you need to use this bow." Okay, as he spoke, he held up the wooden stick with ropes tied at both ends and showed it to him. He looked at it for a moment, then proudly said, "It's okay with my strength, I can still drill a flame without this." I started using my own hands as tools, quickly spinning, and really made him drill smoke. While drilling, he proudly said to these two humans, "How's it going?" Although the two of them admired his ability, there was a somewhat exaggerated expression on his face that followed suit. I laughed at them. Shuxin felt strange. When it comes to the spark, he was wondering to himself what it meant. However, upon hearing this, Xiang told him that according to Greek mythology in Europe, the spark was brought by Prometheus. Prometheus was very worried because humans did not have weapons to protect themselves, so he petitioned Zeus to grant him the spark, but Zeus did not agree. Prometheus went to Mount Olympus to steal fire and bring it to humans, making them even stronger. But this is a story from Greek mythology, not related to the mythology of angels, and of course, it is just a mythological legend. He has seen a saying that fire is the origin of a combustible substance. In ancient times, forest fires were caused by lightning and other factors, which means that they only recognized the fire when a lightning hit the grass and trees, causing the fire to break out. In order to prevent the flame from disappearing, they used many methods to preserve it. Therefore, the flame is the flame that has been preserved and kept burning, which can be borrowed for use when needed. Therefore, the source fire is considered a flame. But this is very inconvenient and dangerous, and later humans gradually learned to use stones to strike and start fires, or to drill wood to start fires, so they don't understand these skills yet, said Shuxin. It should be that this era may be very far away from us, and we can see characters from mythology, so this may be a chaotic time and space. It should be thousands of years ago, or perhaps another planet that may have mythology or magic. That's really boring. Without a computer, those who can't play games can't even see their parents and friends. I feel pretty good about it. As soon as I arrived here, I felt very familiar with it. I could also study these ancient civilizations, as well as these strange and adorable creatures. It seems that I brought my notebook right away. I can record these things. He stroked the three little dogs next to him, who were also very familiar with him. They licked Xiang's face, and Xiang laughed and even reached out to block himself. On the day Xiang first arrived, in order to survive in this unknown world, his wounds always cracked due to many things, and the injured hand was close to him. The three-headed dog happened to have some blood droplets enter its mouth, which were absorbed by the three-headed dog. It began to slowly repair the injured leg of the three-headed dog and undergo changes. Not long after, the angel also woke up with some pain in his body and head. The severe pain in his head made him unconsciously use his hands to support his head, directly touching the gauze on his head. This was bandaged by Shuxin and Xiang, and the helmet was placed next to him. He looked around and slowly stood up before walking to Shuxin and Xiang, asking, "Did you save me?" They also explained that we couldn't save you, we just carried you into this temple and bandaged your wound, and when the fallen angel saw him, he was a bit unhappy. He didn't know who to ask, but just said, "Why are you here too? This is normal. Let's fall together. If we're not here, we'll be there. I don't want to see you." The fallen angel was about to gather fireballs in his hand, but there was no movement. "If I hadn't lost all my mana in this battle with you, I would definitely have been impolite to you," he said helplessly. "Is that right? Then we're similar. If that's the case, I don't know who's being rude to anyone first." As he spoke, Zodiac Angel walked up to the fallen angel and confronted each other with their eyes at the book garden www.zhaozhuiyuan.com. However, the fallen angel looked uncomfortable and threw the pointed stick at him, which Zodiac Angel avoided. The wooden stick kept flying and fell into the campfire of Shuxin and Xiang. Suddenly, some sparks flew out, startling the two people. The three-headed dog also heard the sound while sleeping, woke up, stood up, and looked at the reason. Then the three of them looked at the two. An angel, what is the situation? During this period, the two angels also looked at each other and said it was nothing, while the seated angel had already come to the fallen angel, leaned him against the wall, and whispered in front of him, "Calm down, brother. If it weren't for the two mortals on the scene, would have transformed and eliminated you long ago." The fallen angel, who was pressed against the wall, was also unwilling to be outdone. "Really, it's not certain who will eliminate who. This is my home ground." Shan Shuxin and Xiang looked at what seemed to be going on between them and asked, "Are you okay? We're both injured, so let's not argue anymore." They walked over. "It's okay, we just had a friendly conversation," said the angel, then let go of the fallen angel and looked at him with disdain. "Yeah, it's just a friendly exchange." The fallen angel was also unwilling, holding on to the hand of the zodiac angel, and then the two of them were secretly wrestling there. "If you don't let go of me, I won't let go of you either." Neither of them is willing to fail. Shan Shuxin and Xiang saw that there was no problem, and Xiang said, "That's good." Then both angels smiled and looked at the humans who helped them. The zodiac angel first put down his hand and sat down near them, leaning against the wall and continuing to cultivate. The fallen angel raised his hand, which was pinched by the zodiac angel, and sucked it out. In terms of strength, he was indeed not as strong as the zodiac angel, but he couldn't be noticed before he realized it. "Yes. Then I also came to their vicinity and sat down with my back against the wall to cultivate myself, and of course, I had to stay away from the angel." Demon God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The rain was particularly heavy, and in this chaotic temple, everyone was resting. Shuxin and Xiang had nowhere to go, so they explored and investigated in other halls of the temple. Inside the huge stone statues were rooms with large spaces, and there were no more items in the lying bedroom. Some bottles, jars, and jars made of soil were all destroyed and broken. It was evident that the owner of the temple was walking quickly, and the dirty and messy ground had accumulated a lot of dust. No one knew where this dust came from. The stone sleeper inside was now unable to move in, and the two of them arrived. It is a small hall without a huge stone statue, inside which there is a small magic formation composed of crystal gemstones. On top of it is a huge crystal disc, and no one knows what its purpose is. They want to pick it up, but their strength is not enough. On an elliptical surface like a table, there is also a small sculpture placed. Upon careful inspection, it is found that this should be a human appearance, but there are not many items indicating that humans have lived here. Whose voice is this? At some point, the angel was awakened by a series of calls. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and saw that everyone was gathered around the extinguished campfire, still resting. Another voice came, and this time he could hear whose voice it was. It was the voice of the archangel Raphael, who was far away in the temple of heaven. He was the patron saint of humanity. "Archangel Raphael, do you have any instructions?" The angel closed his eyes and tried to communicate with him with all his heart. The pain in his head and body made it difficult for him to concentrate all his attention, so he didn't know who was calling his name just now. Now he calmed down and felt the message from the heavenly temple carefully. "Are you injured?" "Yes, Archangel, I've encountered some things here, but it's okay, Archangel Raphael. I'll just stay in the human world for a while," Constellation replied to the Archangel's message. "I'm sorry, I'm currently in a very distant temple from the center of the universe, fighting against Satan's demons in hell, and I can't cure you." "It's okay, it's just a little pain. I have received an order from Archangel Gabriel to communicate with your human body. I am not sure if you should be assigned this task and if you can complete it." "It's okay, Archangel. Your management orders are." According to the prophecy message of the wise angel under the control of Archangel Gabriel, we suddenly received an important intelligence message. After your recent visit, what you said disappeared, the chaotic energy is now spreading continuously in the human world again. Is it the chaotic aura of the demon god Bast who caused trouble in the three realms of heaven, earth, and humanity? Asked the angel. Yes, we have detected that his chaotic aura is spreading even faster, right on the border of your kingdom. This chaotic aura has not yet formed a threat, and we hope you can find him as soon as possible to stop him, although this is a difficult task. Alright, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, I will complete this task. Hey, what are you doing? Before he could finish speaking, the voice of the fallen angel sounded behind him and even touched his back. He first dodged and then looked at the fallen angel angrily, saying, "It's none of your business." Looking at the tone and expression of the angel, the fallen angel didn't like to say, "You tell me, I don't want to hear either." As she spoke, the fallen angel returned to her resting place and continued to lie down, turning her body to one side and ignoring the angel. Watching the fallen angel no longer disturb him, the zodiac angel continued to close his eyes and focus on capturing the messages sent by the two archangels. Unfortunately, due to the devastating battle against the fallen angel, he was greatly injured and could not reach them himself. He had no choice but to give up communication with the archangels after a few attempts. He could only wait for the archangels to contact him again when they could ask for more specific information. Now he could only rest and recover from his injuries. However, when he returned to his previous position and closed his eyes, his mind was full of questions. I remember that during his days in the human world, when he visited various city-states to explore, there were no monsters attacking the people of the city-states who lived in peace. Everything is also balanced without any sudden changes. How can the chaotic energy be extended in just a few days? Is it possible that this demonic aura has only appeared out of thin air here in these few days? But if it were to appear out of thin air, there would only be. Thinking about it, he opened his eyes and looked at the fallen angel who had started, then looked at the two mortals who had already woken up. Perhaps one of them was a demon god. "Little dog, your injuries are all healed." Xiang looked at the lively little three-headed dog and was somewhat surprised. In just one day, its legs had already healed, but why? Look at its dark eyes, not as terrifying as yesterday, its crimson eyes are no longer there, and the skeleton lines on its body are no longer visible. It has become a cute black little dog, and of course, its strength has also decreased. When it was uncomfortable to be teased by Shuxin, he used all his strength to cry out, but it made people feel incredibly cute. What's going on? How did you become three? A little dog with a head. Shuxin had some doubts but looked at his appearance. He couldn't help but grab his tail and play with it. The three-headed dog felt uncomfortable, but turned around and gave a warning, which made the two of them laugh. This may have degenerated. The fallen angel looked at the little three-headed dog with a worried expression on his face. However, he still told the two of them the reason why it had become smaller, and then thought, it can also be said that it has been reshaped. It was just that Shuxin and Xiang were playing with the little three-headed dog, and the zodiac angel was thinking about the problem of chaos re-spreading. No one paid attention to what the fallen angel said. The zodiac angel looked at the two people and the little three-headed dog playing happily, which changed his view. These two innocent and pure humans, how could they have any demonic aura? Perhaps there is something I haven't noticed, such as a jungle, a wasteland, an ocean, a desert. Because there are no city-states in these places, it's possible that the angels may have overlooked them, but they can't explore now, so they can only stay here for a while to recuperate and explore after their wings are full. 20 days ago, a crisis broke out in the Temple of Angels. Due to the temptation and guidance of Satan, Chaos learned about the brutality, ambition, and greed of the human world, and began to invade and plunder various city-states. This caused many people, beasts, and demon soldiers to die in the war, leaving many creatures homeless. In addition, a series of chain reactions, diseases, and disasters caused by the war caused these souls to be unable to be baptized by the angels in heaven due to the resentment of the war and the evil chaos aura. Coupled with the power of chaos demon god, it is a powerful existence that can compete with demons and angels. Therefore, the chaos he created, the chaotic energy that emanates, is beyond heaven and hell, another existence that cannot be detected by heaven. Those who die here transform into ghostly wild ghosts wandering around the world in this chaotic realm. Satan also uses this to bring these ghostly wild ghosts into hell, forming a powerful army of hellish demons to launch a massive attack on heaven, causing a second crisis in heaven. Moreover, the demon army will continue to fight more and more. As long as the human war is not over, it can continue to expand and make the legion bigger and bigger. The 7 archangels saw that this was not a solution, so they sent the zodiac angel, who had shown outstanding performance in the War of the Holy Gods, constellation, to investigate in the human world and help humanity fight against the legion of the demon gods. When they left, they even sent the holy war armor of the heavenly temple. However, by the time they arrived, the war had already subsided for a long time. When the people of the Kingdom of Antioch press heard about the Chaos Temple, Constellation reported it to the archangels. The archangels then asked him to patrol in the human world for a few days before returning to the heavenly temple to confront the demon army. Arriving at the Temple of Chaos to see if there were any problems, and when it was confirmed that there was no threat, they were about to return to the Temple of Heaven when a white light flashed through the sky. 2 humans, dressed in strange clothes, fell from the sky and were just about to be saved by an angel. At that moment, the arch-nemesis of the Holy War, Dagger Dyson, the fallen angel, woke up in the Temple of Chaos and suffered serious injuries after an inevitable battle, received messages from Gabriel and Archangel Raphael during cultivation when the 2 archangels were about to give orders to the zodiac angel. While the angels were all entangled in human affairs, Satan's army of hell invaded the temple again. The archangels had no time to worry about the changes in the world, and could only rely on Constellation to prevent the impending great crisis in this world. However, they were powerless and could only rely on the zodiac angel to find ways to prevent this disaster. After cutting off the message, the wise angels all listened to the orders of Archangel Gabriel and began a new sacred battle between the heavenly boundary and the demons in hell. Misty Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few days later, Shan, Shuxin and Xiang have been exploring this chaotic temple. The main reason is that it has been raining here for a few days, and there are still some thunderstorms in the sky, so there is no way to go out. Now that the rain has stopped, there is no place to go, so everyone will go together and explore this chaotic realm. Although Shan Shuxin does not want to see this so-called scenery because there are obviously no electronic products to pass the time in this world, his good friends are still curious about this place, so they can only explore with Xiang, a curious friend. The 3-headed dog has also been following the 2 people who have saved him. If we can find one, a place with crowds is also good. I originally wanted the 2 angels to rest here and explore, but the angel looked at the 2 people who had no combat power and had no destination or direction, so he couldn't sit there all the time. They had no idea how unsafe the wilderness was. He had patrolled here before, and for some reasons, there were no rulers here. Therefore, most of the tribes living here would have wars due to territorial disputes. Strong tribes also had their own royal city, which was scattered everywhere. Those residents who were persecuted by the war, some of whom needed to survive, would attack passing teams in some places and seize them. Supplies are used to solve survival problems. Not only that, there are also many wild monsters in the wilderness that can unintentionally run out and harm people. Only 2 people and a child-old 3-headed dog are very unsafe, so there is no way. We can only explore together and guide them. If we find their home, we can also investigate the news of the Chaos Demon God. The fallen angel sees everyone passing by. Later, I realized that I was also injured now and couldn't contact my demon soldiers in hell, so I followed them on an adventure. Just as they walked out for a while, a gloomy forest ahead made the 2 of them feel a chill on their backs. Outside the Chaos Temple, there wasn't much sunlight to cover, but in this chaotic realm, it was also sunny because the chaos realm was covered with chaos energy, and sunlight couldn't directly enter it. This was also because the jungle had thick layers of fog, and the more they moved into the jungle, the more dense the fog and jungle became. This also created conditions for some ghosts who didn't like sunlight to have a place to live for a long time. Most of the animals living here were some who didn't like sunlight. There are nocturnal animals that can see intense sunlight and some peculiar creatures that only appear in the dark night. The more you walk towards the forest ahead, the more such peculiar creatures there are. You can even see things that cannot be seen in the time and space of Dan Shuxin and Xiang. Zhua Angel said he visited this huge jungle area a few days ago. It is a huge valley, standing under the Temple of Chaos, surrounded by mountains that block the sunlight, coupled with thick fog and lush forests, so most of the time, it's like night here, and some things here don't like outsiders very much, and they can't help but attack people. However, most of them live in the dark areas deep in the forest, so they don't go too far inside. Follow the angel to some sunny places, there won't be any danger originally, there was nothing unusual about exploring around the Temple of Chaos. However, as we walked further into this forest, the trees inside twisted even more, like fierce ghosts waving their teeth and claws trying to grab you and eat you in one bite. This made the two of them feel uneasy, but couldn't help but be curious to continue exploring inside. At this moment, the three-headed dogs seemed to smell something and continued to search for traces on the ground, barking a few times before running towards the deep grass next to the few people. Xiang was curious about what was wrong with these three-headed dogs, so he ran over. The angel wanted to remind the deep forest that it was not safe, but it was too late. A few people caught up with their footsteps and saw an injured woman. When I wanted to inquire about his injury in the past, there was excitement in the small bushes around me. The three-headed dog smelled some dangerous smell and barked restlessly around, trying to convey dangerous information. When they paid attention, it was too late. The blood-red eyes on all sides surrounded them. The four-person team was trapped in it, and the angel looked around. There should be over 100 of them, right? I said I won't let you run around, but I won't listen. Although you're right, even if someone gets injured, they need to be rescued, said Shan Shuxin. Remember, in such a dense forest with only a little light, how could there be anyone who dares to run around here alone? It's just a bait. But she's really injured, the wound looks like. Before Xiang could finish speaking, the woman stood up and then retreated. A group of red-eyed cat monsters emerged from the bushes, each with claws that were 5 or 6 centimeters high, the size of a typical human child aged 5 or 6. However, the length from body to tail could reach over 150 centimeters. Behind them were some larger cat monsters and several three-tailed one-eyed wild cats that walked on 4 legs like humans. The woman also took off her human disguise, revealing her cat ears and beard, but her face was actually human. Her eyes were large, like those of a black cat, and she jumped to a cat that looked like a wild cat but was more than the other three-tailed wild cats. A big cat with a body length of more than 10 centimeters but a white fur on its head said, "Meow haha, there's prey hooked again." You see, the so-called people here are all these humanoid monsters, said the angel. How could she deceive a three-headed dog's nose, asked Shan Shuxin. It's just using the blood of the prey to cover up this smell. Isn't that what you're doing? The female cat demon said proudly, then continued, it's the first time I've seen humans here. It's just a chance to taste the taste of humans. I heard it's delicious. Isn't that right? I just crossed over here, so I'm leaving like this, said Shan Shuxin. It's okay, we will protect you. The angel looked at the fallen angel, and the fallen angel could only respond by saying, if you want to eat our flesh, you need to ask us if we agree. Then he picked up a fallen wooden stick and whispered in a low voice, although, his ability has greatly decreased. It's okay, Dai Gudai Sheng. Do you remember the formation we trained together at the Holy Angel Michael's Archbishop in the early stages of the Holy War? Of course I understand. When surrounded by enemies that are dozens of times larger than us, we need to trust our teammates behind us, without worrying about our backs. Our teammates will protect us, as long as we face the enemy directly. So many years have passed, and I'm not in the same camp anymore, can I still believe it? I don't care, I'm afraid these two mortals won't be able to do it, said the fallen angel after making a gesture to the three-headed dog, and the dog understood. What are these two things? I've never seen them before at zhaozhuyuan.com. The female cat demon carefully looked at them and suddenly became confused. They're quite handsome. Oh, she looked at the two humans again. These two are also good. Do you want to keep one as a companion? Which one should you keep? The scene suddenly quieted down, and the other cat monsters were speechless. The leader next to her asked if they were attacking now. She just woke up and said, "Let's go, little ones, let's live." She pointed forward and all the cat monsters attacked them. Several big three-tailed cats were also watching, waiting for Elvis Presley's command, "You two don't have much combat power, so stand behind the three of us first. However, be careful as we may not be able to take care of you when the battle starts." The two angels began to resist the attacking cat demon. I saw the cat monsters darting back and forth in the grass, with two long cat claws that could draw arc blades in the air. Each arc blade could attack the prey's body with 3 blood and flesh blurred scars, but their attack distance was only 5 or 6 centimeters plus arm distance. Before they could harm the prey with their claws, they would be knocked down by someone who could use weapons. The good thing is that their overall coordination ability is very good, so most attacks require full body strength. With the advantage of quantity, the cat monsters can cooperate with each other to attack continuously. Now that the angels have lost their magic, they can only try their best to preserve their physical strength and defend themselves, and have no way of taking the initiative on the battlefield. The three-headed dog has also lost its strong combat power in the past. Seeing this situation, Shan, Shuxin and Xiang took out military knives and shovels from their backpacks to protect themselves. 4 people and 1 dog stood back to back in a defensive formation, while the angels and three-headed dog were outside and inside, constantly paying attention to what was missed around them. The cat monsters who wanted to come and launch a surprise attack were on the verge of battle. Cat Demon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sun slowly set, and the misty jungle slowly shrouded in the darkness. Many animals retreated to their love nests, bringing the day's harvest back to share with their partners and children. The misty jungle became quiet, and after a day of hunting, the cat demons waited for new prey to be lured by the smell of blood to come here and search for food. Surprisingly, they were waiting for a three-headed little dog. Just as they were about to pass by, 2 humans and angels had already arrived in the distance. The cat demons looked at so many prey and couldn't help but feel excited, so they didn't have to look for food for days anymore. With just 1 sound and 1 movement from the cat leader, all the cat demons rushed towards them. Originally, they were waving their claws one by one, attacking them 2 meters ahead. Unfortunately, they were too small, only the size of a human child, so they blocked all the attacks. Shan Shuxin's army knife was short, and when it was waved, the cat demons rolled over in the air and avoided them. However, the cat demons' attack did not stop. After standing firm, these cat demons began to wave their claws at them, and some cat demons did not have such good physical coordination ability. They rushed directly in front of them, being single. The blade of Shuxin's military knife was cut, and then it bled. Some of them pounced on the mouth of the three-headed dog, leaving a row of bite marks. Later, they were thrown aside, and the 3 heads perfectly balanced the 3 sides. The heads on both sides swung their necks to block the side of the cat demon, while the middle head tore at the attacking cat demon. The Zodiac Angel was not afraid of the cat demon's attack because he had armor on him, and the cat demon's claws could not harm him at all. They even bumped into his arms. When he fell, he kicked away one by one, punched one by one, and grabbed it with both hands, after being thrown to the side of other attacking feline demons to block their attacks, or to collide with jumping feline demons, the wings are used to defend against feline demons attacking Shan, Shuxin and Xiang. The feline demon hits the wings and is directly thrown out, while the fallen angel uses a wooden stick to hit these attacking feline demons, preventing them from entering 60 centimeters of his body. Without armor, he can only focus more on his front and side, blocking one by one. If someone comes to his side, he can also use his wings to shake off or defend, but it is easy to damage the wings. Fortunately, Xiang has protection on the side, and Xiang takes military products. Come here. Take a photo one by one, and then the knocked out feline monsters will be dealt with by the three-headed dogs and fallen angels. Everyone is focused on dealing with the feline monsters, and the feline monsters are also afraid to attack their opponents recklessly. They only try to attack or find the flaws in this formation tentatively. The feline demon leader also sees that this irregular pattern is not feasible one by one, so he gives orders. The second attack method is to hear the command, and the feline monsters all come to the 3 meters of their formation, with the 3 feline monsters targeting one person together, then attack continuously. In this way, their triangular attack method allows them to exert greater power by surrounding their prey, and the attack can also make them vulnerable. Seeing this situation, the Zodiac Angel and the Fallen Angel knew they needed to change their attack methods, and said to Shan, Shuxin, Xiang, "You come behind us." They need to change their attack methods. "Narrow down the range," said the angel. The team has come together again, with 2 people protected in the middle and unable to attack with the others. I saw the cat demon divided into 3 equilateral triangles, and the last row exactly surrounded them. The weak positions were guarded by 3 three-tailed cats to prevent prey from breaking through. At the beginning of the attack, the first 3 feline demons attacked first, and then replaced each time. The 3 feline demons attacked a target from 3 directions together, on the left, right, and front. Looking at this formation, Shan, Shuxin realized that if they assisted in the battle together, they would only be scratched by these feline demons, and the angels and 3-headed dogs would not be able to care about them. Therefore, he protected them and let them save their energy. He felt a bit ashamed, but also because of this, he wanted to become stronger and help them. Xiang felt guilty for harming everyone because he wanted to explore, but he didn't know how many dangers were waiting for him in such a jungle. Watching the continuous attacks of the feline demons, they knew that even strong people would be exhausted and taken down under such round after round of attacks. Before they could repent, the feline demons attacked them again, and this time they could only defend. The 2 angels could only use their wings to resist the feline demons' attack claws, but only one was left behind. Moreover, the first team's attack was fierce, directly scratching their arms, legs, and chest. The 3-headed dog fell down because the 3 feline demons jumped together, and each head wanted to move its body. Fortunately, there were 2 angels to protect it when it fell, and several attacks and adjustments were made. Afterwards, I coordinated my body well, but there were already several scratches on my body. Shan, Shuxin looked at the 3 of them, feeling quite injured. He was extremely angry and couldn't help but clench his hands. Xiang thought about how to turn defeat into victory. He needed to think carefully, and there must be a way. In this way, 3 people, under continuous attacks one after another, were already feeling physically exhausted. The leader of the cat demon saw that they had almost tortured them and their physical strength was approaching its limit. He gave orders to the cat king to start a comprehensive attack. The cat king, cat, pursed a sound, and then all the cat demons heard the sound and began to attack them. Some cat demons joined the battle regardless of their injuries. Watching the cat demon attacking comprehensively, the cat demon leader chuckled with satisfaction. "See how long you can hold on." When all the feline monsters attacked, the angel used its wings to sweep away a few of the attacking feline monsters and looked at the marks on its hands and feet with claws, saying to everyone, "This won't work. We need to take the 2 of them to a safe place first." After the fallen angel used a wooden stick to sweep away several cat demons, he felt physically exhausted and pressed the stick against his body, saying, "That sounds good to you." Then a few people swept the cat monsters and moved towards a larger bushes, letting them burrow in. This way, the cat monsters couldn't see Shan Shuxin and Xiang for the time being, and they could fight better. Three-tailed cats rushed towards them and directly slapped the fallen angel with their front paws. When the fallen angel discovered it, he used a wooden stick to resist the attack, and the other paw of the big cat came over. Fortunately, the fallen angel was agile enough to use its wings to beat back and escape. Although its wings were injured and couldn't fly, it was still possible to use them to move back. The following cat monsters also attacked him. After spinning around, some of the cat monsters were fanned open, some were fanned away, and a few were held in place by the wind of these wings for a while. However, the big cat was not afraid to jump straight over. As the fallen angel was about to be knocked away, the zodiac angel rushed over and fanned a few cat monsters with one wing, while the other blocked the big cat's paw. Then, standing back to back with the fallen angel, "Are you okay?" The fallen angel, while resisting the attack of the big cat, looked at the scar on her chest and said, "Okay, just a bit tired." After answering, she paused and said, "It seems we need to stay in this misty jungle." "That's not necessarily true," said the angel. The three-headed dog, on the other hand, was standing next to the big bushes, facing two little cat monsters and persistently guarding them. One cat monster came to its side to attack it, but did not dare to exert all its strength, because being bitten by the three-headed dog would be a serious injury. If all three heads bite a cat monster at the same time, it would be a large piece of meat, either dead or injured. We can only find a loophole when the big cat comes to support, and the claw damage will consume him in the bushes. Two people were still thinking of a way to find a book garden. www.zhaozuiyuan.com. Watching the chaotic battlefield and the cat leader who had deceived them, they were smug and angry. At this moment, a thought flashed through their minds. Since the battlefield was already chaotic, no one could care about the leader anymore. So, catch the thief first and capture the king. Both of them thought at the same time, watching the cat demon outside still fighting, "Let's catch and control the leader." As they spoke, they began to take action. However, how should the cat king next to her deal with it? Xiang thought to himself. However, Shan Shuxin could no longer afford to worry so much and walked directly from the bushes to another one. When Xiang realized that Shan Shuxin had arrived at a distance of 4 or 5 meters close to Elvis Presley, just a little bit, said Shan Shuxin. "Be careful, this is the only chance," Xiang muttered in his heart as he watched Shan Shuxin worry. Just as he was about to reach the cat leader, Elvis Presley noticed him. He saw Shan Shuxin jump out from behind the cat leader, only to be noticed by Elvis Presley. With just one jump, Elvis Presley broke away from Shan Shuxin and startled the cat leader. One of them didn't sit firmly, leaned over and slid off Elvis Presley's back, but unconsciously reached out his paw and grabbed Elvis Presley's fur. However, this scratch injured Elvis Presley, jumping back and forth, and the cat leader fell off several times under Elvis Presley's jumping, giving him a chance. After the cat leader fell, he sat up trembling and said, "What's the situation? I'm in excruciating pain from the fall." At this moment, Shan Shuxin also arrived in front of her and began to fight with her. The cat leader couldn't help but admire a human who could come to her side. "I have some skills, but have you ever hit me?" As she spoke, her cat paws extended out from 10 fingers.